Right, 2 dishes today. We haven't got any recipes today. What I want to really show you are 2 dishes from my restaurant, Petrus. One of which is on the lunch menu, one of which is on the a la carte. I'm basically just showing you a little bit of technique rather than just trying to follow a set recipe. The first dish that I'm going to do is a little baby ricotta raviolis, served with a truffle butter and just a very simple cream spinach. And my second dish is going to be a poached turbot, which is going to be served with some seasonal vegetables with a chestnut sauce. So, first of all, something's boiling under here. It's steam. Just I can't believe it's been a year. It doesn't seem like 5 minutes since I was last here. Doesn't time fly?
Yes, lovely to have you back, Marcus.
It's good to be back, and it's really nice because I really actually enjoy doing demonstrations, especially when I've got such a beautiful kitchen to work in.
Thank
it's
you.
Really nice.
Thank
Very
you.
nice. Right. First dish. What I've got in here, in fact, it's a little chopping board there. Some knives, thank you. What I've got in here, these are pasta discs, and basically fresh pasta which we've made in our restaurant this morning, rolled out onto a pasta machine. The reason why I haven't done that here today is basically because I just wanted to spend more time in showing you the technique of making a ravioli rather than the technique of making pasta. I think if you've got a really good cookery book at home, a Jamie Oliver cookbook or maybe a Gordon Ramsay cookbook, the pasta recipes are very fantastic recipes and certainly very simple and straightforward to be able to follow. What I want to do, unfortunately, one thing a book doesn't always show you is technique. And I think technique, sometimes, especially with things like this, is the most important. And if you want to sort of plan your dish in front of time, it's always very good with things like pasta, for instance, that you can re-roll them, you can roll them out and you can prepare them. This is in a little sous vide bag, and obviously I know we don't have sous vide bags at home. But what you have got here is the same sort of thing you can just use with cling film or sandwich bags.
Yes.
And you can just basically put
that's right. A sous vide bag is a vacuum pack which is done at a restaurant. But you can use the Ziploc bags. They do the same sort of thing.
That's right, yeah. As long as with the Ziploc bag, you push all of the air out and you basically put as much of the air, because it's the air that turns the pasta dry, that makes the pasta go dry. And it's a great way to sort of pre-prepare your dish, because we all know that when we are cooking at home, it sometimes can be very difficult when we're trying to do too many jobs in one go to get things right.
Yeah, especially as we don't have the skills that you do.
Yeah, true.
It is.
Thank you. So basically, what I've done is all I've got in here is ricotta cheese, which has been softened just by putting it into a bowl and breaking it down with a little drop of cream, some chopped truffle and some chopped herbs, and maybe if you fancy a little bit of truffle oil. What I want to show you is put a touch of flour on the board, but not too much. Pipe as much as you like onto each little ring, circle. The pasta's just been cut out. Again, the size is entirely up to yourselves of how big you want to make your raviolis. All I'm going to do is just some little baby ones here. On the side here, I'm going to do is a little egg wash. This is a very soft mix, so one thing you have to be very careful with this is that you've got no problem with flattening the ravioli, because we're not looking for anything that's really too thick. We're just looking for a nice sealed compartment so that the mix doesn't come out in the water. So what we've got is our ricotta cheese, pasta, egg wash. With your thumb, put the 2 pieces of pasta together, pinch them, pull the flap over, seal it, pick it up, and just run your fingers, your thumb and forefinger round, like so, to come around the top part. Turn the ravioli over, and do exactly the same thing again. Then before you close the ravioli, as you can see here, before you close it, just run your fingers round, pushing the cheese mix almost together a little bit and making sure that the pasta's very well sealed. Coming to the end, and then just pushing any excess air out, and then just pushing it together with your thumb and forefinger, like so. And we'll just do another one here.
When you're teaching young chefs how to do this, what is the most frequent mistake they make when they're doing that through inexperience?
They are almost... sometimes it's like watching builders do it. They've got big hands, big thumbs, big fingers, and they just trample all over it. And what they've got to do, is basically just be very careful and just be gentle. And I think the other thing is they tend to leave too much air inside the ravioli, and that creates air pockets, which creates the pasta sometimes can split.
That's very disheartening by the time you finish them all, isn't it?
Yes.
So you would say getting the air out was one of the key things there.
Very, very important. I mean, even now, under these lights, I can feel the ravioli just drying out, literally just under the lights. It's a very, very short recipe. Pastas, especially at home, if you're going to do this at home, don't worry if your pasta's a little bit on the wet side. You can always add a little bit of flour onto the table, and it makes it very easy. So you can see, I'll use these scissors. And then basically all I'm going to do is just run my scissors around the outside. Doesn't have to be perfect by any means. All I'm going to do is just neatening up the edges. You don't even need to do this at home. It's really something that we do at the restaurant because it's just purely as a presentation type of thing. And I think, like anything, the getting of a ravioli right, or a little tortellini, or anything to do with pasta, is all to do with practice. The more you practice, the more fun you'll have and the better you'll become at it. It's a very, very simple and quite a fun thing to do, making pasta and going out and buying a fantastic pasta machine. I mean, it's great to have. Really is good fun. So I'm just going to make up a few more of these on there, so I'll show you again. So ricotta cheese. Don't forget also, if you like the flavour, the best way to bring out the flavour of the ricotta is to season it with some salt and pepper, if that's what you want. If you just like its natural flavour, just leave it plain. You don't have to add anything to it at all. This particular mix here, albeit that we're actually going to be making it into a little ravioli, as you can see, it makes a fantastic dip. And you can do this with any cheese if you wanted to. You can even do it with blue cheese.
Really?
You can do it with a cheese, a goat's cheese, or whatever takes your preference. As long, obviously it can't be a hard cheese or a parmesan. And if it's a mild cheese, you can add a little bit of olive oil into the cheese, or maybe some cream. Put it into your RoboCoupe and blitz it, and you make fantastic dips with crudités or cheese straws or things like that. But it's really nice in one sense is to start off with something like this, which is incredibly simple and fun to do. So, okay.
And to get the lovely yellow colour, if we can't use Italian eggs, which are bright yellow, would you have any other suggestions?
Free range.
Free range.
Yeah. And don't worry about the yellow. It's not really too essential. Okay. Obviously it's much better because the pasta looks really nice when it's yellow. But at the end of the day, it's really nice to use free range eggs. They're just as good. Or if you can't get free range or they're a little bit too expensive, just normal eggs. It's absolutely fine. And if you really want to have yellow pasta, feel free to put a little bit of saffron into it.
Yes, that works brilliantly, doesn't it?
It does work very well.
Yeah.
So we've got these prepared here. So what I'm just going to do is put a little bit of flour onto this board here. I'm just going to rest the raviolis on there. Now, the raviolis are going to dry out while they're waiting there, and that's absolutely fine. Don't worry, you don't need to cling film them. They can just sit there waiting to be cooked. If you wanted to do them the day before, you can prepare them like this, put them on a tray and put them into the fridge. Don't worry about covering them, they'll be absolutely fine. They will dry out, but that is just not a problem at all. Okay. Now, the little garnish that I'm going to put with this dish is creamed spinach, which is what I have in here. And this basically is just normal spinach that you find in any supermarket, either the very coarse spinach or the little ones that you find in the little bags that it's already pre-washed. Is fantastic. This has just been quickly cooked in a pan with some butter, put onto a tray with a cloth and just dried off. And then we just add a little bit of cream back into a pan, reduce the cream, put in your spinach. You can lightly chop it if you buy the really big leaves. Feel free just to chop up the spinach very, very quickly. Put that into the cream and mix that up. And that's just, again, is something else that can be prepared. This is truffle butter. Basically, butter. If any of you go to some delicatessen stores, you can find truffles in tins now. And they're not bad at all. In fact, they have a beautiful, either in oil or in a liquid brine. And the liquid brine has a fantastic flavour to it. You could always add the brine from the tin of truffle into your water. Just reduce the quantity of water you have in a pan. There's all sorts of different things. And this sauces, you could just basically blanch these off with your spinach and just put a beautiful olive oil and some Parmesan cheese on top. For me, today is the technique of making these beautiful little raviolis. Okay, so I'm going to heat up. All I'm going to do is basically take the spinach. I think one of the key things, if you find it very difficult to cook at home or with dinner parties, am I the right one here? Which one is that one? This one. I'm one of those. One of the for me, successful cooking at home, and that one please, is about preparation, and it's about your organisation. And Christmas Day for me is about presents, the meal, and family and friends. I don't want to spend all day cooking, to be honest with you, on Christmas Day. For 4 hours of my day on Christmas Day, I've got to go to work, unfortunately. So what I do on Boxing Day or the day before, I do all of my vegetable preparation, my turkey preparation, even sometimes my gravy preparation. I do make a huge effort on the Christmas Day to make sure that I try as much as I possibly can to make it incredibly special. So I do all of that. I start off the Christmas Day with my wife just starting off cooking the basics, putting the turkey in the oven, getting the vegetables prepared, potatoes are all ready to go. I nip off to work for 2-3 hours. I come back and things have started. But for me, it's the preparation.
Yes,
I don't want my family to stress out for 4 hours on Christmas Day
No, of course not.
cooking a turkey because it's. I won't say it's not worth it. It is worth it, but I think
it's not the point of Christmas,
there's
really.
so much more to it.
Yes,
so
exactly.
The point I'm trying to make is be prepared. Write down what you want to do your shopping, do your mise en place, and enjoy your cookery. That's the most important. And if you are following recipes, sit down and read them and understand them before you start cooking. I think that's one of the most important parts of cookery.
You're right. If you're trying to read the recipe and doing it at the same time, it's a disaster, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's almost the same as cooking and trying to talk at the same time. Bloody hard work. Anyway, so what I've got in here, I've got a pan of water with a little bit of salt. Is there salt in there? Salt. Some salt. This pan is my truffle butter. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So I'm just warming up the spinach. This has been done this morning, like so. Right, you can see there. Put that onto there. Truffle butter. Okay, so we went back to the tin truffle, or the little truffles that you've got in the bottles, chopped down roughly, or however you like. And it's a nice little touch, the truffle butter. And it is a little bit of an indulgence, but I personally think this is absolutely worth it. It's a fantastic thing to have. And at home, sometimes we get scared of trying all these new ingredients and different things that you don't really know a lot about. But truffles are very simple. You buy them, you take them out of the tin or the bottle, and you chop them and you add them into your olive oil or to your sauce or into your truffle butter or whatever it is you want to do with it. So basically this is just normal salted butter, lots of chopped truffle, a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, and some chopped chervil. Okay? And all I'm doing is just warming it. What we don't do is we don't boil this sauce. We don't. What will happen is if we turn up the heat incredibly high, the butter will start to obviously get hotter and hotter. It will start to burn. Then the truffle will start to burn, and everything will become crispy, and then the whole thing will just become incredibly bitter and taste burnt, which is not what we want. So that all I'm doing is just warming that through. Okay? Did I have? Oh yeah, there we are. My plate. So. Now, all I'm going to do is drop these raviolis in for 1 minute. But what I've got here, I'm going to just show you. This is the chefy bit that's coming out of me, and I can't help it. I have to do it. You probably wouldn't do this at home. In here, I have an egg yolk, 2 egg yolks. I don't know if you can see that there. There we go. Yeah. Okay, and what I've done is taken the eggs whole with the shell. We put them into water bath. Now, in the olden days, it just used to be a pan of boiling water with a thermometer in. Today, we can buy water baths that have temperature controls. And we're cooking fish and meat in water baths now, which have been in sous vide bags like you saw earlier. And the reason why we do it is we're calling it slow cookery. Slow cookery stops the protein from tightening up in fish and meat. You see lots of books, roasting meat, hot tray, seal it, which is a fine thing to do. There's nothing wrong with that. then putting it into an oven at a high heat and turning it down. The principle of turning it down, excuse me, is allowing the meat to relax. So that the protein that normally just goes tight very quickly on a hot temperature, allowing it to relax. If you don't rest meat or you don't cook it at a lowish temperature, then your meat, when you carve it, for instance, is going to be incredibly tough. So in this water bath at 6 degrees C, we put an egg in for about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes whole. We then peel it, peel it. The egg white we put to one side, and then this is the yolk. So basically all we're doing is sterilising the egg. And it's incredibly soft. And what I do at the restaurant is just purely as a visual thing. But what we do is it also adds a huge amount of flavour. The egg comes from, obviously, the whole dish as the pasta is made from eggs, and that's where this sort of comes into play. What we do is we just put that onto our plate like so. And then we just put our spoon into it, and we just pull it up the side of the plate. Now you have to remember, you look at that and I suppose you think, God, he's putting the food up the side of the plate, it looks quite messy. If you have a little pot of water so I can put the spoon in. And basically, it's very much a visual thing. You have to remember that sometimes in restaurants, there's a huge amount of what we do is visual. For me, the visuality of food lasts for the length of time that it takes you to pick up your knife and fork and tuck in. Then the whole dish becomes about flavour. And that, for me, is probably the most important part. Thank you. Flavour is something that savours the memory of food, not necessarily how it visually looks. So what we do here, this is the egg yolk. There is no seasoning in that egg because it's been cooked in its shell. So what we do, we just add a little bit of rock salt, and I'm just going to put that up there, like so. So the egg yolk is getting all its seasoning, so it's bringing out that lovely flavour. It's quite coarse salt, it's Maldon salt, so it adds a beautiful texture to the egg yolk. And again, this is not what I don't recommend you do this at home. It's just me.
Lovely,
you know it's
lovely.
like, sorry, can't help it. So that's basically everything ready. Our pan of water. Okay, what we're going to do is just going to, thank you, stir the water. I'm just going to drop these little, as you can see, they've actually gone quite dry. Stir the water, drop them in, like so. And all we're going to do is just cook them for a few minutes, a minute and a bit. Okay, like so. Just shake the pan, make sure that that they don't stick. Have prepared a little tray on the side with some paper. It's always good to take pasta from, especially raviolis, from a pan of water onto a tray, drain it off, because whatever you're going to add, whatever sauce or olive oil that you're going to add to the dish, what you don't want to do is you don't want to dilute it with water. You just want to be able to keep the maximum flavour that you possibly can. So, our spinach, easy up. What to do is just going to put this onto the plate.
Lovely colours, that bright yellow, isn't it? Gorgeous.
And that's exactly, and that's the just that, what you just said there, is exactly what I wanted. I expected it from you guys, though, but at least I've got the support of you, Lynn.
They were too shy.
So basically, exactly that. You think, wow, what a lovely colour. But there is a reasoning behind it, and that's the flavour, and that's the egg, and that's where the egg yolk comes into the pasta here, and that's where the marriage comes together. Thank you. So our pasta has been in there for about 30 seconds. So far non-split, which is great. Like so. I'm just going to add into here, I've got a little bit of chopped chervil. Just last minute, I'm going to put in some chopped chives. Now that sauce has been made, and again, this is something that you can pre-prepare, and sits in the fridge, the truffle gets stronger and stronger as it gets a little bit older. And when you start marrying food together and adding seasonings, it brings out a fabulous flavour in the actual main ingredient, which is the truffle flavour. I'm just going to put a little bit of rock salt and some pepper, like so. That's ready to go. There. We'll take out the little raviolis. Drain them on the side. And again, you don't have to dress this up if you wanted to impress your friends. You could just do one really nice large ravioli, make your life a little bit easier. It's always good to have some fun. And if you've got people around, especially at Christmas, get the family involved, get the children. My sons love doing these. When my mother-in-law comes, or my mother, when we ever make scones or anything, or the time that we do make pasta, we always get the boys involved. They love it. They make a hell of a mess, but they do love it, and it's great fun to get the kids involved, especially at times at Christmas.
Definitely.
Okay, so, right, that's the ravioli. And there, like so. And on here, again, I've brought some beautiful little slices of truffle. And if you do buy the whole truffles, if you do buy them, and you've got a little slicer at home, give them a slice. So, the truffle butter. Just dribble that over the top, like so. As much as you like. If you really want to just show off, just throw some beautiful little slices of truffle. But not necessary because you've got the flavour on the plate already. And there we go, that's dish number 1.
Gorgeous.
There we go.
Fantastic.
Thank you, my dear. What I was going to do, I was going to poach this fish. As you can see, I don't know if you can see on there, it's been lightly coloured. What we do is we just put a little bit of colouring on it, and we put it into this bag. And going back to what I said earlier about poaching, this would be poached at about 65, 70 degrees C for the same reason that I talked to you about the meat, and that's to stop the protein in the fish from tightening the fish. So that cooking it this way, when you take it out of the bag and you start to eat the fish, it is just unbelievably melt in the mouth experience, and the fish it's just amazing. You just bring out the natural juices of the fish very, very slowly. It's really something that we're doing quite a lot at the moment.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a technique that you can use at home, which is pan frying.
Oh, excellent.
Very straightforward, very simple, and probably the most common way that we actually cook fish at home at the moment. And to garnish this particular dish, in here I've got some, I don't know if you can see that, I've got some beetroot, sliced beetroot, some girol mushrooms, some sprouts. We all love sprouts. Some chestnuts, some chestnut puree, a little bit of chopped chervil. We have here is some pea shoots, which is just a little garnish. And here we have a little bit of stock, salt, olive oil. And in this pan, in this little pot here, I've got some chestnut sauce. Now, sauce making is a very... people get scared. Again, one of those things. Can I have a little non-stick frying pan, please? A plain one. A plain one there? That's perfect, thank you. Sauce making is something that is a very difficult thing to do. Unless you've got stocks at home, chicken stock, beef stock, veal stock, sauce making is never going to be real unless you have that. OXO cubes and all
yes,
that.
and you can buy some very good chilled stocks at some of the supermarkets now to help us.
Chilled stock?
Yeah, cold. In the chiller.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Would you like to show Marcus the ones in the fridge?
I didn't know that. That shows how often I go to the supermarket.
Yeah, well, it's a different kind of cooking, isn't it?
It is. Okay, so this is, let me see. There you go, there we are. I mean, I'm sure it's fresh.
Yeah, that's going into my Christmas gravy, which I'm doing on Saturday.
There you go. That's great. Well, it's nice, it's organic. Yeah, it's organic, which is great, and I'm sure it tastes nice. Now, if for instance, you open this, and it doesn't taste like chicken, my bit of advice is just reduce it by half and give it a little pinch of salt,
exactly.
and it will certainly come out. The flavour will certainly be there.
Good tip. Yeah.
Could I have a couple of small pans, please? Just little pans, please. Right, so the fish, I'm going to take out of the pan, like so. Just very, very quickly, I'm just going to saute off these mushrooms. Okay, no problem. And I'm going to cook off the little girol mushrooms. And again, in supermarkets and little markets, you can find all sorts of different mushrooms these days. And can that be lit, please? And buy any selection of different mushrooms. You don't have to use girolles for your dishes. You can use a beautiful little Paris browns, champignon de Paris. There's all sorts of mushrooms that you can buy, in the supermarkets at the moment. And I think they are producing some fantastic stuff at the moment, and it really is really good. So, be adventurous and buy these. All you've got to do is cut them, give them a quick wash and dry them off, and put them into a pan, just like so. Very simple. That's just onto there. Again, a little bit of rock salt. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to push those to one side and put in the sprouts on the side, like so. Now in here, on the tray here, what I've got here is sliced beetroot. This this beetroot is obviously it's fresh beetroot. It's from the restaurant, and what we've done is we've baked them in the oven with the skins on.
Oh, lovely.
And then we've peeled them and sliced them. But what I would recommend, we should be really thinking about it now for this particular dish. And this is the nice thing about cookery. Just off the top of my head, looking at that, to do that at home would be a very big job and would, realistically, you wouldn't have the time, or, I don't know, you may not even have the will to do that. Why don't we just buy beautiful whole ones that you can buy in the jars, even the pickled beetroots, and just slice them. And don't worry about heating them up. You can just put them in the plate at room temperature. Just as good. Absolutely just as good. So then you've got this pickled beetroot that has got a completely different edge to the dish, which would really be quite nice. And you know, from that point, if you're going to use pickled beetroot, a little bit of fish and beautiful vegetables, then just add a little bit of vinaigrette on top. It's incredibly healthy, and you don't need to worry about making such things as sauces. So taking the vinegar and incorporating it into a fresh dish, really, is really quite nice.
Lovely.
That's what I think cookery is about, is sort of thinking on your feet and enjoying it. So, we've got there, it's very, very lightly just colouring. In here, in the corner of this bag, what I've got is a little bit of butter. I'm just going to drop a little bit of that into there. Whenever you're cooking anything like that you want to add a bit of colour to, get a tray with a cloth on, please, like this. Thank you. Olive oil, ingredients in. Turn the heat down. You can see I've only got it on a very low heat. And just put a little bit of knob of butter. That butter will just help, as you increase the heat, it just very, very lightly browns itself and then starts to colour your ingredients that you've got in the pan here. The other garnish I'm going to use is chestnuts. Again, these are basically chestnuts that have already been pre-prepared. You buy them again in any good shop, and you don't need to cook them from raw. Buy the ones that are already pre-prepared and just slice them. They've got a lovely flavour. There we go, just very, very lightly coloured. Just going to tip those out there like so. So that's our vegetable garnish. A little bit of oil in the pan again. Again, using the same pan. You don't need to change. Taking the fish. So imagine this is raw. Presentation side. This is what the skin has been taken off. So this is the skin side. A little bit of rock salt on the skin there. Into the pan. Like so. Then pull it. That's more than sufficient heat. Take that to one side, like so. And all I'm looking for is just a little bit of colour again. And it comes very quickly on fish. You don't need to... If the pan is too hot, then just put a little drop of oil, like I just did there. And just pull it to one side. While that's cooking, a little bit of salt and pepper again on the top. I quite like pepper with my fish. I think it just adds a really nice twist. Turn it over. Now, imagine you're cooking for your family. Obviously, you might have a slightly bigger pan. Your 3 or 4 of your little pieces of fish. Once you've turned the fish over, just pull it to the side. And just leave it there. That will just cook on its own. You don't need to add any more heat to it. It will just sit. While that's doing that, you can be preparing and putting all of your food together on your plates. And that's something I think sometimes we forget. We tend to try and do everything, and that's where I think the panic comes into cookery.
And also, a hob is quite small when you think it's just 4 gas burners, and then suddenly you need, you feel you need things if you haven't planned it.
Yeah,
as you were saying,
it could be It could be very stressful. So basically, I'm going to take these beetroots. So imagine that these are your pickled beetroots. Just putting them sliced onto the plate. They're at room temperature, like so. Just them on the plate. You can even have this ready to go like this. You don't need to worry about doing it all sort of last minute on there. What I've got in this pot here is some chestnut puree. And that's just basically the chestnuts which have been cooked down with a little bit of stock, chicken stock and cream, fish stock and cream until they're incredibly soft. Just put them into a little blender and you just mix it until it becomes incredibly smooth. And you can do that with most things. You can do it with vegetables. It's a very simple way of making purees. Just remember, if you're ever making a puree of carrot, swede, potato, if your main ingredient, isn't cooked or has any point of bite to it, you'll never ever be able to make it smooth. So while you're standing there mashing away until the cows come home, you'll never ever get it velvety, ever. Because there's just something inside that isn't quite cooked, and you'll never be able to take it away. No matter how many times you pass it through a sieve, it will never become smooth, ever. So always make sure, just turn those off for me please, darling. Always make sure that everything you're doing with purees is cooked all the way through. And also, don't boil potatoes, don't boil carrots rapidly, thinking that you're going to get it cooked quicker. Do it slowly, give yourself some time, and remember, if you're boiling something very, very quick, it's completely knackered around the outside before it gets into the centre. It's like stock, fish stock, chicken stock, veal stock. That's why we cut our vegetables incredibly big. If something's on the stove for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, if those vegetables are cut small and you've got a big pan of stock, by the time that you get any flavour, all of the vegetables have just turned into complete puree and just disintegrated, which will make your stocks cloudy. It will start to thicken the stock or the gravy that you're making, and you'll never get a beautiful crystal clear stock or sauce later on down the line. So, puree, I'm just going to put, again, a little bit of puree into the centre. And it's nice, it's just a little bit of a moisture to add to the fish in the centre of the plate. So, take the fish out. Now, that's been in the pan now for about 5 minutes, and that's just perfect. It's absolutely beautiful. And all I'm doing, just to test the fish to see if it's ready, is just touch it. And if it's soft and spongy, it's not cooked. If it's nice and firm and has a sense of firmness to the fish, then it's absolutely perfect, ready to go. And it's got a lot of moisture on the top as well, which is really nice. So we just sit that on top of our puree, like so. Take our vegetables. What we're just going to do is just going to scatter the sprouts around the outside. You can present them like this, or you can just put them over the top of the fish. You don't need to do this at all. And then just take our little girard mushrooms and put those on there. On top. So. And just for a little bit of greenery, these are little pea shoots, and obviously underneath here we've got the peas. Now, these are obviously peas are out of season, but these are grown for their leaves, and they taste obviously just like peas. Great for salads. You find them in supermarkets. Buy these sort of things. They're really, really nice, and they just add a nice twist and flavour to any dish. And again, you don't need to worry about putting a salad on anything really, because it's raw. It doesn't need cooking, and it just adds a nice little bit of flavour and colour, a little bit of sort of presentation that you wouldn't normally find at home, which is quite nice. We just scatter those around. I mean, you don't need to bother washing them. You can just take them straight from the punnet. Sometimes washing little things like these salad leaves, it kills them, unfortunately, straight away. So we just cut those off there and drop them into the dish. Okay, chestnut sauce, which is here. A blender. Where's my blender here? Thank you. So what I've got in this pan is just a little fish velouté, which is a fish stock which has been reduced down with some chestnuts inside. Just drop the chestnuts into the stock, some cream, some salt and pepper. Take one of these blenders and then just give it a blitz. Pass it through a sieve, and then you've got yourself a very, very, very simple sauce, as long as your fish stock tastes of fish. That's the most important. The chestnut is the addition. It's sort of the little bit that helps to thicken the dish. So what I've done is just put a little blitz on there. Just bring it over to the dish.
Oh, wow. It's almost pure foam, isn't it? So light.
It's foam, a little
gorgeous,
sauce. Nice and light, beautiful and fresh. Just like so. And it's always quite nice with finish off fish. It's just a nice little bit of rock salt on the outside. Like so. And there you go. Dish number 2.
Fantastic. Well done. Really lovely.